Hey, good day, folks. Welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic Live. I'm your host, Neil Johnson. Always excited to be with you, folks, and always excited to share the news with you. I do have the greatest audience on YouTube. If you don't mind, do me a favor, smash that like, chat in with where you're from so I can see who's on the stream. I see Rainmaker's on the stream. Always good to have you on, Rainmaker, a fellow Minnesotan. Michelle, one of my mods, also a fellow Minnesotan. Neil's still looking for that elk. JB, you are not wrong. I got to get back out there and find that elk. I'm going to go out and chase a mule deer in Colorado coming up here. But Kent, Washington, it's raining out there. How surprising. Anyways, folks, again, please share this stream out. We're going to actually have some really big information. So here's what's going on. I've got a guest coming on to join us in just a little bit. It's Mike Lindell. He's out in D.C. right now. He has been meeting with our U.S. senators. He's also been at the White House. There's a lot taking place dealing with this Arctic frost investigation. He is going to update us. He is out in D.C. right now. He's running a little late because I had him on the phone, and he called. He's like, Neil, I'm just trying to finish up here with the failing New York Times, right as the lady was there in front of him. He just always does that. I'm with the failing New York Times. I heard her laugh in the background. He handles it all so well. But I do have another special guest joining us in the show today, and that is the intrepid reporter, Heather Mullen. Heather, good to see you on today.
Thanks for having me, Neil.
Yes, I'm gonna start out with this just before I get into the Arctic frost investigation, what's going on and the key players, which is Boasberg, Smith, Comey, and others. I want to talk about this. The Democrats feel like, oh my gosh, we actually won an election last night in a blue state. So now we can demand what we want with President Trump. So look at this. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. We write to demand a bipartisan meeting of legislative leaders to end the GOP shutdown of the federal government and decisively address the Republican healthcare crisis. Democrats stand ready to meet with you face to face, anytime, any place. Thank you for your attention to this matter. They're trying to pull a Gavin Newsom. Now, this is absolutely hilarious, folks, because there is so much wrong with this in so many ways. One of those things being that this is not a GOP shutdown. See, the Democrats have always been able to stop the shutdown. By the way, I was actually affected by the shutdown for the first time ever in my life, affected by a government shutdown just the other day. Heather, do you want to know what happened to me?
I don't know. Did they tell you can't go hunting?
No, I was out hunting. And I went to the Forest Service office because I can communicate with them about some of the ranchers in the area who might want some cow elk shot, because they're destroying their fences and eating their hay. It was closed. I'm like, wait, it's Monday. I mean, what's going on here? I'm like, oh, it's the shutdown. It's the first time in my life the government shutdown has ever affected me. And there it was. But obviously, it is a Democrat that Schumer shut down because Schumer is driving the votes in the Senate, which won't get past the filibuster. There's the issue. And then he says the Republican healthcare crisis. Now, folks, I want to tell you something. There is no Republican healthcare crisis. That does not exist because the healthcare crisis was caused by subsidies given during the COVID era by the Biden regime because of Obamacare, which was the big healthcare crisis. I will never forget when my premiums went from $400 and some a month to over $2,000 a month, just like that because of Obamacare. Okay? Don't talk to me about a Republican healthcare crisis. People who are too far removed from what healthcare used to be do not understand how good it can be. In fact, I remember way back when I was just a wee little lad, my mom would take me to the clinic run by a doctor or two, not a big healthcare clinic, not a big HMO, and we would talk directly to doctors. We would call and we were able to talk to doctors via the phone. That's right. It was crazy. There was actually bedside manner and care and all this stuff. So none of this is true. How many of you remember those days? The days of actual clinics and independent doctors. Curious, light it up in the chat if you do. Okay, so now we're going to go back to this. All right. Now, Mike's got a whole timeline here. Once Mike gets on the show here in just a few minutes, we'll address kind of the timeline. He was one of the first targets in the Arctic frost investigation. This is why Mike Lindell is so worked up about this, and he wants to see justice. That is exactly why he is out in Washington, D.C. right now, and why he's coming on this show live to update us. Okay? So let's go back. First, I want to take you back in time. Special counsel Jack Smith says evidence against Trump was enough to convict him. This from January 14th. So he was still running this, if you remember, because Donald Trump was elected president. He said the only reason we're not pressing on is because of the long-standing procedure of the Department of Justice not to indict presidents, not to pursue cases against presidents. Okay. The long-awaited election interference report against Donald Trump, this is from NPR, folks, released early Tuesday, said the evidence against the president-elect would have led to his conviction at trial if not for his election victory that led to charges being dropped. People, let me ask you a question. Please comment in the chat. How many of you know of a federal prosecutor, okay, who, any federal case where a prosecutor, even a county case, anything where a prosecutor actually has the goods, wants to get the person, and just says, oh, we'll drop this, but it would have led to a conviction? Come on.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Following long-standing department precedent, and the final report by Special Counsel Jack Smith is their last chance to explain their decisions. But here's what's interesting. Do you guys all remember this? So he goes on about his, letter to Merrick Garland and all that. But I want to get down to this. The report says the evidence would have led to Trump's conviction at trial, but Mr. Trump's election and imminent return to the presidency. Okay. Smith says he fully stood behind the decision to bring the cases. To have done otherwise on facts developed during our work would have been to shirk my duties as a prosecutor and a public servant. I don't buy that for a second. Okay. He was tasked by Merrick Garland. But what's interesting is if you go down here a little further, Trump has argued that the special counsel was appointed unlawfully. He was. I want you to go back in time and remember that. He was unlawfully appointed. Okay. Jack is a lame brain prosecutor who was unable to get his case tried before the election, which I won in a landslide. The voters have spoken. So I want you to go back in time and think about the fact that Jack Smith wanted an insurrection charge against Donald Trump. That was the charge they were going after. It was insurrection, conspiracy to overthrow an election. Those were the charges they were looking for. I will never forget the day that Jack Smith, because I found out within seconds of him dropping this statement. I just happened to be the right place, right time. I made a YouTube video. I hadn't even been doing many videos because YouTube had struck me and demonetized me again and all that kind of crap. So I ended up doing a video, though, on this, and it got hundreds of thousands of views. But it was the fact that Jack Smith could not even pursue the insurrection charge against Donald Trump. Not even Jack Smith, the political hack that he is, could not pursue that charge against Donald Trump. They did not have the goods, folks. Okay, they did not have it. So it would not have led to a conviction. They didn't have the goods. And even they had to admit that. Okay. Now, to this one. Did you see a comment that was funny, Heather?
No, I was just thinking like hearing you say like, oh, they didn't have the goods. And I'm like, anybody that even remotely looks into like what happens behind the scenes regarding our government would see the cesspool of corruption that's been going after Trump. So like, not only do they not have the goods, but like they're the organized crime that justice should be going after, right? Like I really hope we see more out of the Trump DOJ to hold the very people accountable that are weaponizing our own government in this way. Like these are the criminals basically running our government, using the tools of government that were designed for justice as tools of weapons to attack American citizens, like innocent American citizens. I mean, I hear the word insurrection, and all I can think about are the federal agents that were embedded into the crowds there on January 6th, and we had a DOJ that was prosecuting Americans, and not a single one of those undercover informants ever came forward, right? While these people were waiting for trials and things like that. So, like, when you say, like, they don't have the goods, like, at the same time, my mind is like, well, there's a mountain of evidence against the corruption. When are we going to start seeing some real arrests and real justice going after the very people that weaponized our own government against us?
You make a great point, Heather, and something I want to bring up, and I'm going to ask my audience if you'd be interested in this video at all. So, for those who don't know, I was at the January 6th insurrection. Okay. And so I was there. I know, right?
You're one of them?
I'm one of them. I'm one of them. Okay. And so here's the thing. While I was there and Trump was giving a speech at the Ellipse, I have on video a guy who was in like a plumbing type uniform with a bullhorn trying to get the Trump supporters to beat up a guy with a Biden sandwich board. You know, he had like a sandwich board saying Biden won and all this kind of stuff. And I'm there like going, what the heck? So this guy, I am convinced he was a Fed. He kind of outed himself in one way. Would you guys be interested in seeing that video? I can dig it up, but it's a video of this guy, and he is trying to get the Trump supporters to beat up a guy supporting Biden. Now, I got to admit, I may not have agreed with the Biden guy, but I thought he had some guts. Okay. I mean, seriously, I kind of respected him. I thought actually this guy's kind of my kind of people, not on the political spectrum, but the fact that he's willing to go out there and take bold moves like that. So I had that video. I could share it. We should probably get it to the Department of Justice because I will guarantee you the guy was a Fed. I have no doubt in my mind that he was a Fed. And what he was doing was trying to make the whole thing go south and turn violent. And it was
so when are those feds going to be arrested and prosecuted for their crimes? Like that's what I want to know. Like as much as like we already knew really that Biden and his DOJ were corrupt, that they were spying on us. Like that to me is nothing new. Like what I really care about is the fact that we have Trump in the White House. Like let's make the most of the time that we have in there. And like when are we going to start seeing the arrests of these federal agents that were the ones orchestrating insurrection of our Capitol? Like they were there as like these like criminals trying to overthrow our government by inciting it. So like the very things that innocent Americans were falsely charged with should actually be charged of these federal officers.
Wait, I've got another insurrectionist. He's here in this, and he's in the background right now. I see him. By the way, I want to thank my mods, Lisa, Stephanie, Michelle, Katarina, and I've even got Matt Cassoni on. All my favorite mods are on the channel today. Thank you so much for modding. All right, I'm going to bring in our other favorite insurrectionist. There he is, Mike Lindell.
I got the interview went long. I was with the failing New York Times, and she's one of my favorite reporters, though. So
is she?
Yeah. She's all right. She actually did it's kind of interesting. She did it about. We were just talking about 5 years ago or 4 years ago. She did a long form interview, and she had read my book, and her another associate of mine that from the Wall Street Journal, I made him read my book before he did his long form. Now, her article was so good about me because she was torn that her boss never printed it. And the other guys over at the Washington Post, his was so good, I replayed it everywhere. I said, you better make sure this article, you bashed me a little bit so your boss will at least play it this time. I just spent an hour with her.
because actually, this is one of the things I love about you. And folks, I spent some time with Mike at the RNC, and Mike is willing to talk to every fake news outlet. Every single one. And he doesn't run from them. He doesn't fear them. He engages with them. And I think we need more of that. Actually, it's one of the things that Charlie Kirk did so well, was he engaged with the people who disagreed with him. And Mike, you win some of these people over, just like you're talking about right now with this New York Times reporter.
Right.
Over because you're not full of malice.
Yeah, and there's more to it than that, you guys. It's like I told her, I said, because I even said when I was calling you, I said, you called it the failing New York Times. And I said, but you know what? Of all the things, she goes, she said, you really think we're fake news, Mike? I said, yeah, you've been lying about me for 4.5 years. I have firsthand knowledge. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Nothing's true about the election. But I did say that you guys are all a step above Fox News. I said, Fox News will never, ever report anything with our elections, period. Anything like yesterday's machines or the AG race getting stolen blatantly in Virginia. So is what's worse, a Fox News or a Newsmax that won't report something, like I've said it before, a Weather Channel that won't report hurricanes or tornadoes, or one over here? Well, at least they'll lie about everything, but at least in between their words of lies, you can get the word out, Our president's very good. It's really
interesting you mentioned that, Mike, because I was just watching a Fox News clip, and they were talking about the Arctic frost investigation. And
Right.
they listed off all these people targeted
Yeah.
in the Arctic frost investigation. So, of course, they listed the senators, but then they
Right.
started talking about individuals and they
Right.
started talking about organizations. Do you know who they never listed?
My Pillow and Mike Lindell.
That's it.
100% is disgusting. The senators brought that up yesterday too. I go, yeah, I'm not mentioned out there in the news. I said, and there's a reason for that because wow, yeah, do you remember in the Arctic frost, everybody? I'm in there multiple times, but one of them where it's me individually, it says Mike Lindell dash Mesa. Does everyone know what that ties to? That's Mesa County in Colorado.
Yeah.
This ties into the criminal Jenna Griswold, the Secretary of State, in what company? Dominion Machines. Okay, so that whole wing there now was Arctic Frost tied in with that? Absolutely. What do you think they're attacking me for? Because they don't like me talking about Jesus Christ? Maybe the AG of Minnesota. But he doesn't like that at all, so he's attacking my network. But the biggest reason, because the New York Times asked me that, well, why are they still attacking? I said, because they don't want to get rid of the voting machines. That's what they're using to take our country, and people don't get it. And but you got with and the other part of Arctic Frost is My Pillow and My Pillow banks and everything. So I'm listening there multiple times,
Yeah, and I want to get into that, Mike. And here's the thing: there's a question asked in the chat. I want you to answer this. I want to give you a minute to talk about the deals going on at My Pillow, and I want you to answer this question because I have an answer for it. If you don't, I'm sure you do, though. And then we're going to get into this because we're talking about multiple people that really need to see justice here. We are talking about James Comey. We're talking about Judge Boasberg, which we've had big revelations on him just recently. Okay. And then we're talking about Jack Smith. But look at this question, Mike. I want you to address this because I would never sleep on a goose down pillow. So, but we don't want to, Mr. Eshop. I know you've watched the show for a long time. We're not going to try.
All right. Absolutely not. The reason for down pillows or the reason My Pillow is so successful. Down pillows collapse. You use your arm, you fold them. It's all air. And when you have it down, you're ruining your health. You're bending your cervical nerves at night. That's the whole thing. What if you had a goose down pillow that actually would stay where you put it and be soft? What a concept. What an invention. Here's My Pillow. That's what My Pillow does. You get the adjustability and the feel of down, but it stays there. So if you're a side sleeper, back sleeper, stomach, you adjust it to your height. It's all about the distance from your head to your bed. That's where My Pillow's patented fill gives you the best sleep in history. That's why we've sold over 85 million My Pillows in spite of being the most attacked company in history. So that being said, it's like an old-fashioned commercial there. You bring up down pillows. You bring up down pillows. Those are fighting words, okay? Or just like lumpy pillows, okay?
Well, to put into perspective, Mike Lindell has sold more pillows than Joe Biden got votes.
That's a good point. Right? And even with the help of voting machines, right? Yeah. But you guys, save 50% or more of the sale going on. Look at the biggest one there. Our blowout sale of the My Pillow is $14.98 for the standard size. And using that promo code Lumberjack, you guys, and then the My Pillow mattress topper made in the USA. Sleep is in two components: your sleep cycles, REM and delta sleep. You need both your body getting great sleep and your mind recalibrating, and that's where you're getting your REM sleep. So your My Pillow gives you that, but your bed, I know it doesn't have the My Pillow technology, and you get that mattress topper. I don't care if it's a new bed, old bed, doesn't matter. When you get into your bed at night, everybody, if you wake up and you might it's a little too hard, or it's sagging, or too I got a sore side, or maybe my shoulder. You guys, you need a different input to get a different output. It's not going to change. We have a 60-day money back guarantee, 10-year warranty. It'll be the most, people have said, like that mattress topper, the best device or best thing they ever bought in their life, next to the My Pillow. Now then you got, as you go down, you've got
these are all These are all made in the USA too.
Made in the USA too. You got your mattresses, you guys. When I developed the mattresses, I didn't just call a mattress company, hey, make me some mattresses. No, I went in there and I went component by component, said, well, what does this do? Oh, it just looks really nice. I don't care. It better help me sleep, so I don't use it. I wanted to make things that actually help people, right? So then you have the My Pillow socks, made in the USA socks. You got the My Coffee, the best coffee in history.
Amen.
The My Cross is my most requested product ever. The My Crosses, you guys just save 50% there, 100% made in the USA. And then Rev 7, come on, Rev 7, the best product, energy drink ever, no sugar, no caffeine, you guys. And the gummies, the ashwagandha gummies, I even had to learn how to say ashwagandha, isn't that something?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't have a lot of the Giza sheets left, so I just want to point that out, folks. It's my favorite product. I mean, I love all your stuff, Mike, but I'm just sold on Giza sheets.
Yeah.
I know I was talking with Dawn today, and she said somebody today just ordered $500 worth of Giza sheets.
Yeah. You guys, they are running out, and we are. And I just got off the phone. Now there's certain products. So let me tell you this. They go, well, why don't you make your Giza sheets in the United States? You guys, there's a reason. Every product I can make here, I make here. The reason for the sheets, when I went in to make the best sheets in history, I actually, here's a little story behind that. I'll quick tell it. I said, well, maybe if you spend more, it's better. So in Minnesota, I went out and spent $1,200 on a set of sheets. I got them home. I go, they're okay, but $1,200, that's bizarre. So I said, well, where are the best sheets and where's the best cotton for them made? And then I found out there was no weavers or spinners left in the United States that made the thread count that I needed in the quantity I needed. So I go, well, the best cotton in the world was over in Egypt between the Nile River, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Sahara Desert. And the growing conditions are perfect for one crop, cotton. So I started asking them all about this. I said, would this be, what kind of weaves? Well, you could add a satin weave. Well, what would that do? This was a year in process of making the best sheets in history. By the way, it's also our president's favorite product, is the Giza Dream Sheets. Now, this morning, you're right, we are getting very low. And in Arctic frost, now you guys, okay, you can't make this up. In Arctic frost, that sheet manufacturer, or one of them, I had two of them, okay, that one 3 years ago got contacted by our government, their bank, and said, you go debank this vendor if they're going to continue to sell to My Pillow. So we got cut off at the knees. So we were down to one manufacturer of the Giza Dream Sheets. And I mean, the story goes on and on, but right now, this is why we're low, everybody, but we hope to get some in before Christmas. So right now is your time. Get them right now in case we can't get them. And that is back. Promo code Lumberjack, you guys. And that's, there's a story behind every one of my products. I'm going to quick tell the towel one. You guys ever get towel? You love it when I tell that one. So here's the towel. So towels, and Heather, you might know this. You go into a store and they feel soft and kind of like slippery, whatever, and going, oh, they feel so soft. You get them home and they don't dry you. It's like the water beads off them. This is because what our government did in 2006. I had to research this. I go, how come towels don't dry you anymore? And in 2006, our government let all these other countries ship us in towels without no tariffs or nothing. It was a free-for-all. So they started adding fabric softeners and oils so they feel good and soft in the stores, but you get them home and they don't work. So I made the towels with this proprietary technology that, hey, why not have them soft and they absorb? Towels that work, what a concept. I don't need, like they tried to give us clean or tissues that come pre-snotted. I've said this before, they're slimy. Like I don't want towels like that either. I want them towels that work, they absorb, and they still feel soft.
Yeah. Mike, you've been out. I want to get back to the news. You've been out in Washington, D.C. How many days you been out there now? Because I mean, I was on the phone with you the other day. You were getting a call from the White House.
Right. Since I've been here since Sunday night. Remember, it took me 10 hours to get here. I found out Houston was the biggest affected airport. So I spent 6 hours in an airport in line. And at least I had the Viking games to watch them destroy Detroit in line. But other than that, I get here on Sunday night. I met with met with the senators and a lot of other things. I haven't been to the White House yet, you guys. I'm hoping to maybe get there tomorrow. But I came here. I wanted to find out all about this Arctic frost, of how horrific it is, and give them information, the timeline of my pillow and myself, of our attacks of 2.5 years or 3 years of attacks. Remember, on the heels of the machine companies attacking me and all the cancellation of the box story. My pillow, there will never be a more attacked company in history that survives. I will tell you that. That survived. Nothing could survive what we went through and we got through with the grace of God.
Yeah.
And of course, your audience, Neil, that keeps.
Oh, yeah, they have been great. I mean, my audience
they've been
great.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's wonderful. But I mean, we're talking, Mike. You've lost. Okay, I love the fact that I get to have you on, and we sell a lot of pillows. But listen to this, folks. I'm going to go through a couple items on the timeline you sent me, Mike. So this dates back to January 5th of 2022, when Mike Lindell had his phone records subpoenaed. Then two banks, Minnesota Bank and Trust and Heartland Financial, told him they no longer wanted to do business with him. That was on the 17th of January of 2022. Okay. Tom Cardell, a senior vice president of Minnesota Bank and Trust, was recorded as expressing concerns about possible subpoenas of Mike Lindell's bank records, and that Mike Lindell represented a reputational risk. Mike was quoted as someone got to them. But as you go on, Arctic frost was approved actually not until January, February, March, April, okay, is when it was actually approved.
Right.
Okay, but you were getting subpoena before then.
We're now believing that my pillow was their first target. Remember, I was the only one, not the only one that kind, but the most visible, holding up my hand going, we got to get rid of the voting machine. We've got to save our country. And they're just going, shoot that guy. What's he doing? Shut him up. He won't shut up. We've took away all his box stores. We've canceled him. We've deplatformed him everywhere. And he still won't shut up. We need to shut his company down once and for all, and just maybe he'll shut up then. And
debanking is a big thing. And folks, if you haven't run a business and gone through any form of debanking, you do not know the horrors of that. If you can just imagine your credit card processing, then you had problems with shipping companies. It goes on and on. I want to go to June. Hold on one second, Mike. I want to get this June 17th. Axios reported that Walmart is the largest retailer to pull MyPillow products from its stores as the company's CEO, Mike Lindell, continues to claim 2020 election was rigged. Axios further stated that Lindell said in an interview on political strategist Steve Bannon's War Room podcast that Walmart pulling products would be a $10 million hit to his company. And the CEO of Walmart had a call with Hunter Biden in 2017 to beat Donald Trump. Yeah. Now, so the loss is as much as $30 million per year because Walmart was a huge vendor for MyPillow. I will guarantee you, as lovely as my audience is, my show does not produce $30 million a year in pillow sales, Mike. So
there's a couple of things here. There's a couple of things. Walmart, those were bottom line dollar. That's how much we would profit from Walmart. The number of sales there were way more than 10 million. I want to say 30 to 40 million. But let me tell you, that specific, that one. So remember, this was right out of the gate when they announced, or when we know Arctic frost was, like you say, in that spring. When Walmart canceled us, it came from out of the blue. And realize, you guys, we're the number one buy through of a product, of all products, of a $50 and a $60 product in Walmart's history. So they're dropping their best product ever, not just the pillows, ever in the history of Walmart, just like the other box stores had done a year and a half earlier. But let me tell you about that. When you bring up their chairman of their board, we had a copy of Hunter Biden's laptop. Okay, my cyber guy, we had a copy. You know what we played on my show after they did that? We played the conversation of the chairman and Hunter Biden. It's 45 minutes long. But you know what? Wow. Fox News didn't pick that up. Nobody picked that up. But they destroyed when Walmart, and then Walmart said, Walmart comes out, I think, and says, well, no, we still have them online. That was a big lie. We weren't online. There were pillows up there sold by China. There was that they had took my pillows and then just put them up there and said, oh, and we told them that. Of course, then they took them down, but they put a Photoshop up there. No, these were people copying my pillow in China. You know,
China.
And then, of course, then we exposed Walmart for all the products that they take an entrepreneur's product and they had direct line. I think it was that time 14,000 products had been copied by great entrepreneurs and then made in China and shipped into Walmart. It's just disgusting what we exposed back then, because when they shot me, I shot right back at them. And but that was girls. But you know what? The media, like the failing New York Times, Mike Lindell, the conspiracy theorist,
Yeah, no, that's what this whole narrative was. But this is all derived out of this whole Arctic frost thing. So
Right.
and I don't know, Mike, if you probably experienced some of this too, but my channel was struck multiple times and demonetized. And I will tell you, there were people with direct lines to YouTube and Facebook in these places. One of them was Senator Adam Schiff, and we learned all this through Missouri v. Biden lawsuit. So none of this is conjecture. This is all based off discovery emails. The other one, interestingly enough, Mike, and you had a big involvement in this back in 2022, was Katie Hobbs's office.
Right.
So that was
before you go on, I want to you mentioned Adam Schiff, you guys. Yesterday, I was over at the Senate building. I went to get on the elevator, and Adam Schiff walks out, and his eyes got bigger than saucers, like he had seen a ghost. He's probably thinking, "Didn't I already destroy you? How are you still here?" I mean, he went. Then a reporter chased him down the hallway. I think you can find it on social media. It wasn't one of my reporters. Chased him down the hallway, asking him about, don't you realize that you're going to have to face your maker, Jesus Christ? Do you care what you're doing to this? I mean, he went on and on. And I think it went viral yesterday, but I'm watching him just get chased down the hallway and by this other reporter. And but I just thought the look on his face was, how are you still here? We thought we shut you up for good. I mean, it was disgusting.
Do you know who I ran into? Actually, when I was out in the halls of Congress, actually, Heather, you were there too, and George was there. We ran into Fang Fang guy.
Eric Swalwell.
Eric Swalwell. I ran into him, and when we trolled him, we got pictures with him and posted them because we were.
Yeah, George.
But back to Katie Hobbs. Yeah, how disgusting. Her race was. She stole her race. That down in Arizona is disgusting. Yeah. I mean, all the stuff that was done down there. But when you talk Arctic frost, I want to just say the one thing too. As they attacked you guys, they go, wow, it's like every month things kept happening. And me and my other vendors are going, I'm going, hey, you guys, sorry, you can't, maybe we couldn't pay today. Go, you won't believe what just happened. They froze when you talk about a merchant server account, everybody, I had this merchant server account. It's where all your credit cards come through for almost 2 decades. And all of a sudden they called me up and said, we're going to put a $5 million hold on your account starting tomorrow, which means, everybody, that they're going to hold my money that you all paid for product for hold $5 million before I would get $1. So maybe in 10 days, I would get money. At the same time, PayPal, somebody got to PayPal from the government. PayPal said $1 million hold. This is my money. This is my pillow's money.
Yeah.
And you had PayPal, the merchant server, you had American Express. That was the worst. They never been late in our lives because it runs our shipping, everything daily. They go, Mike, we're taking your $1 million credit line down to $100,000 in 2 days. And I asked the salesman guy, our rep, I go, what are you talking about? I go, we didn't do anything wrong. He goes, oh, it's just the economy. That's what my boss said. We're just doing that. I said, and you believe that? He said, no. He said, there's a rat in the woodpile. We could never figure out what was going on. But, our own government, and then, of course, the deplatforming, we were just wiped out. Then vendors that weren't called, then they started making this. They're afraid because they're seeing the news. Mike Lindell is getting a hold. Mike Lindell is having an auction, and they're squishing their credit lines and just destroying us. It's like a snowball effect. And then the big hammer came down when a friend I grew up with is president of one of our banks then, and the bank is listed there. I'm not going to say the name of the bank, but there it's listed there. And also another bank we had at that time, he gave me a call and said, Mike, I'm sorry, but we have to let you go. You have to change banks. And I'm going, what? And I almost said his name, and I said, you got to be kidding me. And he wouldn't tell me. They were afraid. I think they were actually scared, but when they got contacted, debank this guy, debank my pillow. So that was 4 banks. Count them, everybody. 4 banks as we kept switching banks.
I remember.
Well, so
Stephen, you would pay me, Mike. Because you'd pay me, and then like the bank would change.
Yeah.
Well, so
exactly.
my question is if the government was so corrupt and they was doing stuff like this to you, Mike, why haven't we seen yet, or will we see the Trump administration start freezing accounts for, the people that were funding, Antifa, right? Like Antifa is an organized organization. He declared it a terrorist organization. You have people that were illegally paying ballot traffickers down there in Georgia to go and fraudulently stuff ballot boxes. All of those people, if you follow that money trail, you're going to get bank accounts tied to real criminals. So what are we doing as far as the Trump administration and going after the actual assets of people that are funding basically like domestic terrorism and attacks on our own people?
Well,
Like, it just seems like you got attacked, and I'm sitting here wondering why, like, Fannie Willis, who admit to using some of her funds to like buy homes and stuff,
well,
why are their assets not being frozen?
I think, Heather, you're talking 2 different things there. Now you're talking our freedoms of our government attacking. I got attacked for nothing just because I questioned our election and questioning. That's different. I know if you're going and you're investigating someone, you got to do it the right way, which is what our president will do. He will get subpoenas and everything to go in and investigate this because they've been charged or whatever. I was never charged with anything. I was just attacked relentlessly. My phone was taken. My phone, all my company was destroyed as it's sitting, like I said, it's a miracle. It's like a boat that you just keep blowing holes in the side, and like protection by God and just what was right. So I think you are seeing that, and this was, I will say this, Heather, and I'm not going to say it wasn't the president, but there was someone that I talked to a couple 3 weeks ago, and they said to me, Mike, because there was frustrations out there and a lot of things by people going, why aren't you doing this, why aren't you doing that? And this person said to me, Mike, think, it took them to fabricate charges against our president over a year to get that all set up, that conspiracy to get him when they went after Mar-a-Lago and all this stuff. He said, they're moving as fast as they can, and knowing where things are, but you still have to be, to do it the right way. You got to do it. You got to go through, you keep it on these tracks, but you can accelerate this track. There's no one that wants to get done faster than our great president, Donald Trump. I mean, and myself, you look up, if you look Google patience, you don't see my picture. That's something I've had to learn. It's been very hard watching my employees get attacked, watching all this get attacked, going, when is this going to, God, why isn't this? Can you make this all happen tomorrow? Please, God, whatever. And this has been brought up before, and I just brought it up to the New York Times lady across the street. I said, the 2020 election will go down as the most important election in world history, And she goes, what do you mean? And I go, if Donald Trump would have been put back in December of that year, December 14th or January 6th, we would have lost our country forever. And I explained to her, I said, just like my pillow, and I've said this before at rallies I used to speak at. In 2012, I did my first infomercial. In October 7th of 2011, I was scared to death going on camera, a half-hour infomercial. And we went from 100,000 a year company to we took in $100 million in 6 months. It was the #1 infomercial in the world. We just put it together. It was like, but I woke up 6 months later in tears going, God, what did I do wrong? We were 6 million in the hole. And but I had to take what I learned in 2012, pick up the pieces and go, here was betrayal. Here was this. Here was this. I needed tracking, everything. So I learned from what happened there. And then my pillow was where it is today, not where it was. It would never been able to withstand this relentless attack as that it built up from nothing, an invention, into this powerhouse of 85 million pillows sold. Now take that same thing and use the 2020 election. We have not had patience over the last 4.5 years with this stolen election of 2020. If that would have never happened, it was over. We were boiled like goldfish. We'd have transvestite t-shirts. Everybody would be, your kids can get it, have this whacked off or whatever. I mean, it's crazy, the stuff that's went on, the nonsense. But we had to see all that unfold. We had to see everything happen over these last 4.5 years to open people's eyes and learn from it. And that's why she asked me, well, what's different now with Donald Trump? I said, well, now he's can offense. He has a gift of problem solution and what it'll manifest to. Now, when we talk about, let's look at tariffs. Everyone said, oh, it's going to collapse in 2 months, in a month. Well, as it's unfolded, it ain't so bad. It's working. I mean, the stuff I brought up to her, I said, bombing Iran, everyone's going, no, don't do that, don't do that. What a beautiful thing. You stopped one of the biggest threats I thought of all the time is where, am I going to live long enough to see them throw a nuclear bomb at the world? No, because it got destroyed in an instant, a problem solution. So to be able to be patient and watch this unfold, but to go back to answer your question a long way, Heather, is they're doing all that. And I believe, and that person brought up to me is these take time, but we're moving as fast as we can. They do know this with our election platforms. It's a ticking, the clock is ticking. We only have to, now the primaries, like we have Dallas County that's completely paper ballots, hand counted. But by the time the midterms get here, we either going to see, if we don't get this change, what you've seen happen last night is going to be across the board. They only have one shot left to steal our country, and that's these up and coming midterms. And the shot left is to do it before the machines are gone. If the machines are gone, it's over. The uniparty, the globalists, the deep state, they are defeated. They can't get anywhere without those voting machines, period. So this is the race against time. All the other stuff, when people say, well, are these guys going to go, get charged, and Comey and all these stuff? For me, I don't care when they get charged. If they get charged, I have one thing in my head: get rid of these voting machines, because once you get that, justice will prevail. And you will have. I don't think anybody cares or has a problem of who wins, as long as it's an election and not a selection. We have last night that AG race in New Jersey is so disgusting. You guys, I mean, it's bizarre. Now, you have other problems in New York when all the people exited New York, these Republicans exited and have moved. You're losing a big part of the Republican base. Yeah, look at this, you guys. These are my cyber guys. My cyber guys just brought this. I just seen this a couple of hours ago. Look at this. This guy was polling at 8% favorite. You guys realize polls, if you're polling at 8% the day before, unless you're crooked Brad Rassenberger down in Georgia, remember Brad Rassenberger was polling at 36%, and the very next day he got 51% of the vote. That, you guys, is impossible. This here that happened last night is impossible, not improbable. It's impossible. You're polling by 8%. You see the lead, and all of a sudden, boom, boom! Quick, you guys, let's win this race. No, maybe nobody will care. How many people? If this was on Fox News and all the other outlets out there going, hey, look what happened. Let's open up this machine and see what happened in New Jersey in that AG race. This should be sounding the alarm. It shouldn't be everybody's worried. Oh, now it's all Democrat in New Jersey. Why don't we point out this one anomaly that we have from the races last night? The other ones, you could sit there all day long and say, reasons for this, reason for that. And by the way, this is the only one we have pulled so far.
Yeah,
this is blatant.
I want to make, and I did a show this morning, and I talked about how really last night, everybody's like lamenting it like it's this big loss. And a couple things on that. One, Mondani winning in New York is actually a gift. This is like 2020 as a gift in my mind. Because what was the other option? Andrew Cuomo? Really?
Yeah.
The guy who shoved seniors into nursing homes. That was our better option in New York. Here's what's going to happen under Mondani. Crime is going to skyrocket in New York. He will go to cashless bail. I mean, this whole thing is going to be a train wreck, and it is going to be the little social experiment of the Democrats, socialists of America, and it's going to play out in a laboratory for everyone to see. And as a result, everybody on the Democrat ticket is going to be tied to Mondani's policies, and it's going to show just how stupid they are. So, I mean, it is pretty bad when Spanberger and these other people are considered moderates when they won't even denounce Jones, who's out there calling for Republicans to be shot and their kids to be taken out. Okay. So the whole, and I think Mondani winning was kind of a foregone conclusion, but I do, Heather, you want to say something, so I should let you say
I saw somebody's comment that they were kind of responding to my question about whether or not, at some point the Trump administration will go after assets and stuff of the criminals that are involved in things like election fraud. And someone said, Heather, right? Like money from Soros to Mamdani. And so I don't know if Soros funded him. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But it brings up that question, right? Like a lot of these Democrats that are stealing elections are being funded by illegitimate, bad money, basically, like the Act Blue money that we saw the FTX money laundering that went to fund Democrat campaigns. So if the Trump administration can crack down and really zero in on the source of these ill-gotten gains and freeze those accounts, it'll cripple a lot of the momentum behind some of these Democrat campaigns.
Amen.
So I think we should really try to drill into that and trace that money back, seize those accounts, because then they have nothing to stand on.
Right.
Agree on that.
Yeah. Hey, I want to bring up something you just said before my camera went dead there. When you brought up that this could be like 2020, Neil, you're exactly right, and here's why. Evil is greedy. Evil is greedy. And here's what, if I just told that New York Times lady next door, I said, if I would have been their marketer in the inauguration day when Biden got in 2021, if I was his marketer, I'd have said, you know what? Don't do anything stupid. They're on to us. Let's just make them think socialism is like having a cup of coffee with your neighbor, make it look good for a while, and then we'll hammer them. Instead, they hit the ground running. They shut down the pipeline, 60,000 jobs, 13,000 people committed suicide, and they opened up the border and let everything in. It was just crazy, right?
No, it was not.
Now, if I was in New York, if I was them, Mondani and the gang, I would say, hey, let's try and make this look good and not destroy New York right away. But evil's greedy. They're going to hit the ground running, and they're going to destroy it, and the whole world to see, hey, this doesn't work.
Yep. Amen, Mike. I want to go to something else. This is going back to Arctic frost. Mike, I know your number one thing is machines. I actually do want to see some prosecutions. I'm just going to tell you straight away. So I want machines gone too, but I want some prosecutions. I want some
absolutely.
Some accountability. But Byron Donalds, Democrats would rather punish their rivals with lawfare than win elections fairly. Judge Boasberg must be removed. Jack Smith must be held accountable. Those who approve carried out the Arctic frost wiretaps must lose their licenses. The American people deserve this, and I want you to watch this little minute clip here.
Because there are a lot of laws that I think were broken here.
I think a lot of laws were broken, Larry. First of all, anybody that was in the chain of approving these wiretaps or these subpoenas, they need to lose their law license, because now you have a rogue prosecutor in Jack Smith, who Joe Biden and Merrick Garland went and got out of mothballs for the express purpose of trying to take down Donald Trump and anybody that was in that path, regardless of what the facts were, regardless of what the law was. They turned this guy loose, and now we know he was subpoenaing records of U.S. senators and other members of Congress. This is insanity, but it is the radicalism from the Democratic left, where they would rather punish their opponents as opposed to go to the American people and try to win elections on the merits, on the arguments.
I mean, we don't know. For all I know, they were tapping cell phones. There's stuff that we just don't know about, because there are a lot of laws.
Okay, so that's that's where that's at. I mean, I want to see, and you know, I'm so tired, honestly. I mean, I like Byron Donalds, whatever, but this whole thing, they were tapping the phones of U.S. senators. They were tapping the phones of U.S. congressmen. Yeah. They were also tapping the phones of citizens like Mr. Mike Lindell. They stole your phone, for Pete's sake.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, that's a greater outrage to me. They act like it's such an affront to, you know, the senators. I mean, fine. Okay, your phone shouldn't have been, you know, none of that should have happened. But quit acting like the big deal is when it happens to you, because you should be more concerned about your constituents than yourself. Okay?
Amen. Yeah.
This, Julie Kelly said this too, and I think this is really important. Let's not forget who else was responsible for managing Arctic frost. Matthew Graves, the former Biden campaign advisor, appointed DC U.S. attorney by Biden in 2021. Graves was the guy who went after all the J6ers, okay? At the same time, Graves was obtaining grand jury subpoenas for Trump World. He was prosecuting and putting on trial J6ers in the same Trump-hating DC courthouse. When I call that building the source of the partisan rot in our legal judicial system, believe me, as Graves was doing Biden, Garland, Monaco's dirty work, because this all goes back. I pulled this in earlier, but I didn't go into it. You guys saw this, I'm sure, the other day. Here it is. This is Comey, handwritten note. All this stuff, folks, is out there. These people are guilty. They are completely able to be prosecuted. Comey, I believe, is going to face justice. I know a lot of people, but he's already, a grand jury has been brought forth. Also, Mike, I know, and I talked to a lot of people in the election integrity space, but I know for a fact that grand juries are being impaneled for January, and it is dealing with the election crap. This is taking place.
Right.
So all the people out there who say we're never going to see justice, I understand being blackpilled. I do. You can go down that road all you want, but it is not going to get you anywhere. I am telling you, last night's elections, okay, that everybody's sitting there moping about, telling us that somehow, New Jersey, the fact that New Jersey has been blue for how long? Their last Republican was Chris Christie. Come on. Come on. You know Chris Christie. You said
I was on a plane with Chris Christie.
Yeah, that's your most famous social media post. Okay, like a beached whale. Okay, but there were huge wins I talked about, Mike, and I don't know if you saw this, but in South Carolina, even with the Republican establishment spending millions of dollars and their PAC spending millions of dollars against state legislative seats, it's gotten so bad that they're spending millions of dollars on state legislative seats. That's how dirty politics has gotten. But in spite of all that, the Freedom Caucus members won in South Carolina last night. In Minnesota, I did not see, I scrolled through it and maybe one got through. I did not see a single school bonding referendum pass. In fact, they were defeated by margins of 68-32, 65-35, and on it goes. America does not want to be taxed anymore. So the fact that Mondani, in the most liberal city in the country, gets elected is not that big of a deal, folks. And if Cuomo had been elected, it would have been worse for us.
Right.
Because he actually would have, as bad as he is, he would have governed better. And it sounds terrible. I don't even know how to say that.
Right. But I, and I get that, and it could end up being a good thing. God uses all things for good for those who believe. But I will say that you've got to also think like this. If I'm them, I always think if I'm their evil's marketer. Look over here, everybody, and everybody's looking at Mondani, and they took one eye off the ball, and that's the AG in Virginia. That was a blatantly stole race. He was favored by 8 points. We have evidence they flipped it with the computer and stole it from him. And you can see all these other wins. It's just like this, Neil and Heather, it's like I just said that I told the lady from the New York Times, I knew exactly what was going to happen in the 2024 election. They were not going to steal it for Donald Trump, and they were not going to steal the House or Senate. Now, why is that? If they would have took them, and I'm bringing up all the time, I say, if I was going to give you guys China virus 2.0 4 months before the election, do you think you'd all be running around with 2 masks on in your own car and eating out in snowbanks in Minnesota because the governor said you couldn't have more than 10 people in your house? Stuff like that. The New York Times lady says, no, it would be a lot different. I said, do you agree with me? And she said, yeah. I said, do you also agree that election crime 2.0, if they were to steal this from Donald Trump, who was favored And if they would have sealed the House or anything, the word had got out over the last 4.5 years by a lot of people. I think the whole country would have said, open up those machines. We're tired of you hiding what you're not showing us. Open them up. And they would have demanded that. So these guys did exactly what I thought they would do. Hey, you guys, they're on to us. We'll steal $5 million from Donald Trump, which they did, and we'll steal 9 members of the House, which they did. By the way, they didn't come in until mid-December, and let's steal 4 senators. They just took enough because everyone's going, look, Donald Trump won. This is great. And they're not watching what's going on in the underlying things here.
Yeah.
Because they have evil has a long-term plan, but we've got them cornered. We know who wins in the end. This is a marketing thing. The only thing last night that should be called out, you're exactly right, Neil, on the thing. That'll end up being probably a good thing. But one of the bad things is they stole that AG race and we have evidence of it. It's in black and white. That should be all over Fox News. You got to view each election like your only election, each candidate like your only candidate. What if all that was for all the marbles, that AG? I mean, Virginia has it's fell now. Now it's going to be, remember, there's timelines of things. You had California, Colorado became a California, even worse. Minnesota became a Colorado, even worse. Yep. I mean, Minnesota's, there's so many things wrong there. We could spend 10 hours on there talking about that. But this is where in Michigan, when they took everything in Michigan, which, by the way, the Republicans never did a thing there anyway. When they had the power in Michigan before the 2020 election, they didn't do anything. But in Michigan, they're still sitting there. Those guys, they're like the fighters of all time. They're not. They could just give up and go, you know what? It's all Democrat, all this corruption, but they keep on fighting and fighting and fighting. But the end game is we've got it just because you have all these things here. And everyone's going, oh, this terrible thing happened here. You got to look, but it's not going to get the publicity it needs.
No,
which is that AG.
I talked about that too, Mike. I mean, everybody's like, oh, they get in comfort because Donald Trump won, and you should not be.
Yeah.
I want to try to bring this in under an hour for you, Mike, so you can use this show if you want to over on.
Yeah, well, you got about 12 minutes left, right?
I'm at 56:40 right now. I suppose
you are
joined, but
that's right. You guys start. That's fine. That's fine.
We can start with when you join too. You guys can edit that first part out. But I want to show you this, Mike. Check this out. And I don't know if you saw this yet, but here, speaking of Mondani, this is a liberal admitting to committing a federal crime right here. Watch this.
I'm here in New York, about to illegally vote for Zoran Mondani 6 times. Yeah. 6.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
there you go, people. And how do you get away with that? Computers. Well, Mike, how does that have to do with anything with computers? Because the computer should catch you, right? If you're at the precinct level, hand counted paper ballots, you go, I'm sorry, you voted.
Yep.
And it's disgusting.
I'm going to bring in one more here. I want you to watch this.
Oh gosh.
Okay? This is Eric Schmidt. Okay. But I want you to hear what he has to talk on good old Judge Boasberg, because Boasberg, you had to remember, this is the same guy who wanted us to keep hardened criminal illegals here in the country. And this is also the same guy who approved the spying, and then to keep it from the senators because he deemed that senators were a flight risk. Okay, forget that. Give me a break. U.S. senators are not a flight risk. Okay, that is the stupidest argument. But listen to this.
Judge Boasberg gave a speech about how he was going to thwart the Trump agenda before he got those cases. He was not the assignment judge. The DC courts have a daily assignment judge. He wasn't the assignment judge. He's on vacation. Somehow gets these cases at 1 a.m. Was he tipped off? Did somebody tell him these cases against President Trump and his agenda now were coming? I don't know. We should find that out. But Judge Boasberg, what he did to Senator Cruz and maybe other senators, absolutely, and I don't say this lightly, absolutely is worthy of impeachment proceedings. There has to be accountability. The American people have heard a lot about this, and you're going to hear more. We should have Watergate-style hearings on this for months. If we're ever going to root this out, we have to be serious about it, and consequences have to follow. Resignations, firings, criminal prosecutions. You simply can't, in this country, use the justice system to throw people in jail because they have a red jersey on or a blue jersey on.
Folks, that's just that is straight fire from Eric Schmidt, former Attorney General. Okay, the same one who brought the Missouri v. Biden lawsuit. Now sits in the U.S. Senate. I met him actually out at the inauguration. He was supposed to come on the show. I actually should follow up on that.
He's a great guy. I met him as my my world tour in 21 and 22, going around the country, 700 hours in an airplane, meeting every attorney general and everyone, trying to say, hey, we have problems. But you hear what he said there. I want everybody to really listen. What Eric just said there is, he said it shouldn't matter if you have a red jersey or a blue jersey. I want to ask you this, everybody. They're attacking me. Does everybody think they attacked me because I wore a red jersey? You know, remember, I had never voted. I'm an ex-crack addict. I guarantee you, if I would have came out and didn't even know Donald Trump, okay?
Yes.
If I had came out, same thing happened, and I got all my fame from my pillow, and I raised my hand to go, hey, the machine's got to go, there's problems. I guarantee you nothing would have changed. It wouldn't have mattered what jersey I had on. Do you agree, you guys?
Yeah,
100%.
well, there was a Democrat race in Georgia for county commissioner where they rigged it in favor of particular chosen Democrats, right? So you had one lady that ran in DeKalb County. She and her husband went to vote for herself on election day, and the official results showed that in her own precinct she had no votes. So she goes, well, I know I voted for myself, and I hope my husband voted for me. But then they did an audit of that race, and the machines pinned the wrong two people in first and second place, and that was a Democrat race.
Right.
And
Well,
so,
and you're right, Heather. It doesn't, for me, and I've said this over and over again to the media. When I woke up on the 2022 election that morning for those midterms, and I see all over Fox News, you guys, it was on Fox News, all these problems with the voting machines in Arizona and the Kerry Lake race and all. The machines aren't working. The machines aren't working. And I'm going, it's even on Fox News. Everybody, they're going to dig into the machines. And then at the same time, out of Kansas, my teams on the ground were reporting all over Kansas. Listen to this closely, everybody. Democrat votes being flipped to Republicans. I had videos of it from Democrats now. They're going, I'm voting, and it's flipping to a Republican. Now you think about that. These machines, the uniparty shows no prisoners. They don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican jersey, just like Eric said there. This is for all of our citizens. This is for all of us. The machines got to go, and the government can't do what they did with Arctic frost. And that's the bottom line. It's
well, when there's this is something I said back when I was covering all the fraud in Georgia, and I would report on it with Steve Bannon. I said, people don't understand, it's not a right versus left issue, because when there's election fraud, that's called organized crime, and it means that no Democrat or Republican vote truly counted. So everyone's getting their vote stolen when there is organized crime and corruption in our election processes.
Right. Yeah. Go back to Al Capone back in Chicago. I mean, he had it all. He had he had the politicians, he had the elections, he had the bootlegging, everything, right? And so they come in and say, what a beautiful thing. They get them on tax evasion. Don, you talk about Georgia, Heather. All that, I just told that to the New York Times. I said, you don't get it. This isn't a Democrat Republic. If you're a Democrat in Georgia, good luck with Crooked Brad controlling the machines down there. Crooked Brad and Compromise Kemp. And I brought up one deviation to her, and I said, when you talk about organized crime, I want to say this, everybody. I'm going to do a quick little timeline, Neil, if I can. In Georgia, this is one of the longest, I believe it's probably the longest running case in history that was thrown out on standing. And here's what happened. The Crooked Brad Rassenberger, it's called Rassenberger curling case, went on for 7 years, okay? And it was to get rid of these crooked Dominion voting machines, which by everybody, they're all crooked, they're all bad, but this would happen to be Dominion in Georgia. So this was originally Democrats in this case, and it was for a judge named Totenberger who was appointed by Obama. Okay, so you got all the pieces, everybody.
Related
so
to an NPR gal too. Just I mean,
okay.
the whole thing.
Well, anyway, this case moves on, and a guy that I can't stand, his name is Alex Halderman. He's a cyber guy that is a lefty, and there's a lot of bad things about him, horrific, that I know personally. But anyway, this cyber guy, so he does this report. They let him look at inside the machine. He does this Halderman report, which they hide for 2.5, 3 years. They hide it. We're down in Louisiana. Even the crooked Attorney General or Secretary of State of Louisiana, Carl Ardwin, can't even get it. And he's a crooked guy. He can't even get this thing. So they send it to CISA, the report. CISA, who's corrupted. They don't do anything with it. Finally, it gets to I believe it was the fall of 2023, and they said, this judge finally says, after 5 years or whatever, says, you know what, this case can move forward, and you're not a conspiracy theorist if you question the machines. So I'm happy. I'm going, this is going to be great. I took off my tinfoil hat. I'm celebrating all around the country. And this case went, everybody, January of 2024, Alex Halderman in the courtroom, the cyber guy, takes a ballpoint pen, flips the election right in front of this judge, not once, but twice. So now this judge, I felt bad for her, and here's why. She's trapped. There is no way that this judge, because she didn't think they'd find anything. I believe that she moved it forward thinking, hey, this is going to be easier. Yeah. Let's get this out of my lap. So I said, there's no way she's going to make a ruling that these machines got to go right in front of her in the world, but it never made big national news, right? So she's still trapped. And I'm going, you know what? She's going to get a call by the old, call it the mafia, call it organized crime. Hey, you're living with a pretty nice family, Judge. I'm not saying this happened, but here's what happened, you guys, and you tell me. Of course, she didn't make a ruling before the 2024 election. Hey, Georgia, we got to get rid of these machines, because that's what she had to say. A guy in my courtroom flipped the whole election. Instead, she went past the election, and just this last, I think it was February of this year, she comes out, everybody, and gives us the big S word, no standing. You don't have standing. This was Democrats, Republicans.
And this is after they had standing to go to trial. Okay.
And after 7 years, I think it was. Yeah. And this is Democrats, and I think Garland Favorito, Heather, correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. He was involved. His group is nonpartisan. They're just not Democrat or Republican. They're to help the people. This lady threw it out. The only reason she was trapped, she can't, people are human too. I guarantee you she got a call because she was brave enough to move it forward. And then it's like, oh my gosh, Mike Lindell, everybody's right about these machines. What am I going to do now? All it takes is, hey, Judge, you got a pretty nice family you live with. We know you'll make the right decision. She had to have an out, and that was throw it out on standing. If you were questioning her, I guarantee you somebody got to her. They had to, because I was so proud of that judge being brave that she said, let's move this to court. But be careful what you wish for, you judges, because they're not all corrupt, everybody. This organized crime and mafia and the Uniparty and the Globalists, this is as real as it gets. Our elections are all controlled, every single one of them. Doesn't matter what party you're in.
Well,
if you think in Colorado they had cartel taking over apartment complexes, so you don't think that there's cartels that are like threatening people when it comes to like things as powerful as elections? Like, you're absolutely right, Mike. And when I was on the ground in Georgia, I won't say her name, but I had went to this one woman who had some information for me, and I went to her house, and I'm sitting there, and she's showing me everything she had it, and I still have the documents, but she showed me the video surveillance for her house that a car had driven by and fired a bullet at her house because she was like this grassroots activist digging into the corruption of the Secretary of State. And I saw the footage of the car driving by her house. Like, there are a lot of people in Georgia that came up to me after Donald Trump retweeted a video from my coverage there, everybody in Georgia that knew anything started reaching out to me, and there were a lot of them that were terrified, including members of law enforcement.
Right,
So
right.
that just shows
It's
you
very-
the magnitude of the corruption that that judge, Amy Totenberg, was living under.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. I feel bad for her, and I mean, she did what she had to do. I don't believe if she was a corrupt judge, she would have never moved that case forward. She would have never moved it forward, you guys. And I'm serious. You would not do that. Take the chance. What if there is bad things in those machines? What if there is? And I want to ask you this, Heather. I don't know how far you investigated Georgia, but there was all these things back in the day I do believe that Brian Kemp got in over his head, and now they control him.
Well, remember,
I'll be completely honest with you, though. But I'll be honest with you, Mike. They're like, as someone who was on the ground during that time in Georgia, when Brian Kemp called for a signature match audit, it was shortly after that his daughter's boyfriend died in a car accident. In a huge explosion. Like, this just wasn't like a car accident. Like, the car exploded.
That's what I was going to bring up. And tell us what happened to the investigator that investigated it.
He ended up, he commits suicide or something, right?
Oh,
he
committed suicide. The guy was the most normal guy they said ever. And out of the blue, I don't know if the suicide was 3 bullets to the back, but it was a suicide, right? It was probably a Clinton
And if you want to look it up, it's Harrison Deal was his name.
Yep.
And he also happened to be a staffer for then Senator Kelly Loeffler.
And the engine block was like 40 feet from the car.
Yeah.
So I got stuck in the traffic on the highway. That was the result of that car accident. Like, I was in Georgia when all this was happening.
And so isn't that something?
Yeah, like I actually, as soon as I heard about the accident, like, I went online and I looked at the police department Facebook page where it occurred, and I started reading the comment section. Everybody in the comments reported hearing an explosion, like they thought it was a bomb. Right, so and this was on the Facebook post of the very first police department post about the thing. So it's like, okay, was this a car accident? And then, all of a sudden after that, you find like the investigators that were involved in it are now dying. Like, what's going on here? And so a lot of people in Georgia believe that he was killed to warn Brian Kemp,
100%.
Not to go forward with this signature match audit. And like, this is just the reality of organized crime and corruption. And I grew up in Massachusetts, Mike, so I'm familiar with Whitey Bulger days of corruption.
Right. Oh, wow.
All the chaos of that. Like, I grew up with that stuff in my backyard, which is probably why I recognized it in Georgia. But, this is the sad reality of
and isn't it something to this day? It's never been reopened up for investigation. And Brian Kemp, I was down in Georgia during those later on, I think it was later on in December, we were at the governor's mansion. And by that time, Kemp had done a complete flip-flop where he was and you could almost, you could just feel it, that he was just like, scared. Like, he got in way over his head. And I think even before that, Crooked Brad and him go back to the China virus and buying Dominion machines and stuff, and masks and stuff like that. I think it goes pretty deep too. But I've said that many times. I believe Brad Rasper is one of the biggest criminals that ever walked the planet, and I believe Brian Kemp was brought into it, and you're threatened, and you're in. When you're in that deep, but he probably wasn't in deep enough, so they had to send a message over the bow. Now, and you just wonder, that didn't get a lot of media coverage. The word traveled, but you didn't see that on Fox News. You didn't see this stuff. That's how much power that they had back then. That should have been the #1 story. Like, explain this. Show us pictures on TV where the engine landed. Show us this thing. Show us this guy's past where he committed suicide after what I think it was within a week of investigating this. It was a suicide, and we don't even know. I don't even know how it happened. All of a sudden, that's just what people heard. Well, did he shoot himself in the back of the head? What really happened here? You know what I mean?
You're the Clintons.
The biggest cover. Yeah, the Clintons.
No, it damage, is, and it's no different than didn't just in your state, Neil. like those two
Yes.
representatives that voted against funding illegal healthcare, and they were Democrats, they sided with the Republican, and some guy showed up to both their homes and executed them.
Yeah, and what was really crazy about that was the gal was talking about it the day before about the vote, and that she felt they were going to come after her, and then all of a sudden she's dead. It's amazing. And then we had the Democrat lawmaker who broke into her, it would have been her stepmother's house, to steal stuff out of there. Said she was doing a wellness check, dressed all in black, had broken through the window.
Yeah.
But she was doing a wellness check. She did actually. She got convicted, so that's good. But Mike, I know I don't want to go too long because I know
Yep. We've got to replay it. Yep.
But I want you to just talk real quickly about the specials going on.
You guys take advantage of this free shipping. Save 50%. This is the only place. Using promo code Lumberjack, free shipping on your entire area. You guys are the only ones that get that. Take advantage of that now. That's going to be going away. But right now, you're saving 50% or more on all of our items in our big USA sale. So you're getting free shipping. Look at that. The blowout sale of the My Pillow is $14.98 for the standard size My Pillow. And free shipping, come on. This is, and we're not going to put a limit on that. The body pillows, $29.98, and you get a free pillowcase with it, a body pillowcase, your choice. These are huge, you guys, the lowest prices in history. We're raising money right now. We have to buy, remember, we have to pay cash for everything because of Arctic Frost. We don't have banks and stuff where we can go borrow with all the lawfare against me. So we need to turn this, get our stuff in, get these other products, get these products going. The Made in the USA socks, but you guys, the beds and the mattress toppers, getting them free right to your front door.
Well, free shipping on those is huge.
Free shipping, and you guys, the technology in them, nobody else has what we have. This is the My Pillow patented foam in a solid piece, but all the stuff that goes into a mattress that helps you get sleep is about temperature and pressure points. And we've got, just on the mattress topper alone, I think there's like 11,000 pressure tabs on there that it's like floating on a cloud. And you guys, then the bolster pillow, people forget about those. We got those on sale there. We get a free pillowcase with those. The My Cross, and I'm going to say this right now too, you guys, Lumberjack, the promo code also works on mystore.com. Over 1,200 USA entrepreneurs and thousands of 100% USA made products. And look at that, the My Coffee, the Rev 7, the ashwagandha gummies, all these health products there. And you guys, and then you got the My Slippers. Once they're gone, they're gone. We only have so many slippers left. The lowest price in the history of the world, $39.98, and we give you that free leather spray. Back in the day, we had leather spray with it, but you can use it on any leather. You get that free, plus the lowest price on the slippers, plus free shipping. The Giza Dream Sheets, you're saving up to 50%, or with the $29.88 as low as $29.88. Once they're going to be a big gap, you guys get those if you want to. Get yourself your early Christmas present.
Yeah, on those Giza sheets. Okay, so here's the thing, Mike. You're funding everything yourself. Tariffs have been an issue for you. I mean, let's just be real about this.
Yeah.
So you have not had, so those Giza sheets are low on stock right now, folks, but there are some of the key colors and sizes left, and they're 50% off right now. I will tell you that is the best sheet you'll ever sleep on. You're probably 2 to 3 weeks away from getting more Giza sheets in, I think, right, Mike?
Oh yeah, it's over 3 weeks. We're not going to get them in, it looks like, the first week in December. So you guys got to get them now. Get them now. I mean, I can't just say you need to get those now. And then we have, so the towels came in 4 days ago, everybody, all the new colors. And we actually have, it's a premium towel that even we had to substitute. And Neil, I will say, now they'll say, well, why are your towels made overseas? Because that also has proprietary technology that we don't have here in the US. So once again, I can't make them here, but we've had to use because we couldn't there's certain things we can't get, because you are right on the tariff. One of the tariffs that's still out there is India, because they're still dealing with Putin and Russia. So that's a 50% tariff. So we've had to go elsewhere and pay more, but we wanted to get them to you, and you guys get them for the $39.98. The best towels in history. It just got even better for right now. And so you guys, and then we have the closeout sale, the outlet sale. Do you guys do all your shopping there? And you see, my reps love hearing from you guys at 800-568-2865. That's Neil's. That's use that promo code Lumberjack. That's specific for your audience, Neil. You guys, there's the Go Anywhere pillows with the pillowcase, $17.98. I use that everywhere. Everywhere. I'm in a hotel. I put it on top of the hotel pillow. I'm sitting on one now. Everywhere I use that pillow. It's the most used pillow in history. You guys, and you take it camping, fishing, but you can roll it up, stick it in your purse and pop it out. And so here I'm ready to take a nap or sit down or have back comfort. There's nothing better than that.
You know what's tragic, Mike? I left my Lumberjack plaid travel pillow out in Montana.
Oh no! Well, I hope some of those animals you've used it for comfort till you get back out there.
I know.
Well, Andy's got Mike. I didn't realize
we avoided Neil. We're going to use his pillow.
Okay, wait, Neil. I have to get my dog a My Pillow dog bed.
Oh, absolutely.
No joke.
Look at the dog bed.
Yeah. You guys, I'll tell you a quick story. I got to tell you a quick story about the pet bed. So back in the day when I invented My Pillow, you could literally, and I would tell people this and have them try it at home. You could take a My Pillow, pick two other kinds of pillows, your Goose Down or whatever, or your Fiber Fill, and you could do 3-card Monte, flip them all around, and your pet, I don't care, any pet, cat or dog, will go right to the My Pillow. You leave the room and they're coming, they're laying on that. So I said, you know what? I got to get, this is my advertising back then. Then we came out with the dog beds, and I did a thing on QVC before those rotten network canceled me back in the day. But anyway, on QVC once, I get on the airing and I go, yeah, we have a 10-year warranty. And I said, and even if your dog would chew them up, you're warranted if it would wreck them. And they're going in my ear, they're going, you can't say that. I said, oh, they're telling me in my ear I can't say that. I can say that because number one, it's my product. I'm giving you that 10-year warranty, even if they chew it up. And you know why I got away with that? Because they don't chew them up, because they protect their beds. They love them. It's a little different. They're chewing up those beds they don't like, and you come home and there's stuff everywhere. The My Pillow bed, they're going, you don't touch my bed, grr.
It's true. No, this is so true, Mike, because I had picked up a bed at an art show. I had gotten for my dog. It had Duck Dynasty pink camo because I had a female dog, Lucy, she's the greatest dog. But anyway, so I had that bed, and then I got the My Pillow bed.
Yeah,
because we got a second dog. I'm like, well, we'll get a My Pillow bed. And they both get on the My Pillow bed. They were like fighting over who could get the most.
100%.
Oh, anyways, well, folks, thanks so much for joining us today. Another episode of Lumberjack Logic. Truly the best audience. I love y'all. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep the faith. Go get some stuff from My Pillow. Call 1-800-568-2865. Use those home operators, folks. Give those people at home some business, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace out.